Okay, so now we're going to talk about the second programming tool that we use. I would say this is the backup tool that we have. Our primary one is the Smart Pro, but this one tends to work out pretty well for remotes that don't necessarily work on the Smart Pro itself. So I'm just going to go over it. This is the AutoPro Pad. I believe that it's by Xtool. Similar function. It has an OBD cable. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see how it's connected. So OBD connects the same way as the Smart Pro does into the OBD port of the vehicle. This one is not as intuitive as the Smart Pro, and that's why I like the other one better. But it has a similar layout. And keep in mind, this is literally just like a computer within this encasing. So you actually can use this one for like the internet and stuff like that. But so this is like when you turn it on, this is the screen you get. I've always found it a little challenging to, you have like apps and stuff that you can use too. But you basically go to the AutoPro Pad app. It's already built in. Let's see. We don't need that actually. Let's go back out. So I already have it opened. So it's the AutoPro Pad right here. Let me just verify something real quick. What is the difference? Oh, here we go. Okay. So if you are in this screen and you want to get into the place where you can use the app, you go here, select AutoPro Pad. This brings you to the main interface for this. Immobilization is the primary thing we're going to use. Okay. So just so you see, you have some settings. xCloud, don't really use. I believe that's for the updates. Oh, actually, no, this is for the updates. If there's any updates, you can update them all. I'm not going to do that right now. But you want to keep updated because software is always coming out. Same thing as the Smart Pro. So let's go back out of the settings section. If I know how to do that. Let's try diagnosis. There it is, diagnosis. Okay, so to get out of that, you just click that. Same way, the only thing about this is that it's less intuitive. So GM, it will actually have, it just disclaimer that you agree to. It'll load. GM is the parent company, I believe, of like Range Rover or Land Rover. Let's see, I don't know why it's going directly into that. Let me see. So they organize this in a way where it's like parent company and then like sub brands. So we'll go, so this is for GM. Like if you go to Immobilizer by vehicle, so it'll start out with like Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Saab, and Saturn. So just remember that it won't show on this main screen right here. It's just GM. So you actually have to be familiar with what goes where. So GM is the parent company of all these other brands. And this is the update button right here. So if there's any updates that need to happen, you can just click that and it'll update the software for it. The thing about this one is it's a little confusing. And why I say that is because it's just not as intuitive, right? So when you click agree, let's say we go into Toyota system. It loads. Okay, so you could choose, and everyone's a little different, but you go remote. So this is the thing, it doesn't necessarily go by vehicle. So it'll just be remote, and you have to figure out which type it is. And how you do that is sort of it's pretty random, honestly. What you do is you can try auto identify it and it just goes through each one, or you can just click it yourself one by one. It'll do that. It'll say connecting. Since we're not plugged in, it's not going to work, obviously, but it'll usually say failed to connect if it's not the right one. Then you can do type 2, type 3, and you literally just have to go through it until it accepts and it goes to the next stage. You can do manual too. So this is directions for manual programming. So this also gives you some information about how to manual program. And you know, manual programming is in a different section, but in a nutshell, manual programming is just instructions that anybody can use to program a remote to their car. So key, it can go by vehicle. So you can just find the one you need, but it's just sometimes they don't have that much. It's not by even by year sometimes. Here we go. So they don't have everything, but literally you just go through this and you find the one that you need. There's some examples here where it can be really confusing, but it's for the most part, I use this. It works for a lot of vehicles, but the Smart Pro tends to be more comprehensive, easier to understand, straightforward steps. This one, you have to be more familiar with it, but it works a lot of times. So this is that backup. If the Smart Pro doesn't work, we always go to this one, and you just follow the steps with it. So as it loads, let's see. Okay, so there's like pin code calculate. So there's different things that this can do, but it's not really intuitive, right? So read keyless enter code. So that is basically on Fords. Some vehicles have the button on the outside where you can press, so you don't need a key and you can just get inside. Obviously this is not plugged in, so it's obviously not going to work, but it could work, and it could read the pin on the vehicle. It's usually a 5-digit pin that allows you to press the buttons and you can get inside the key itself or the door. By vehicle, you choose, is it an immobilizer, smart key, or a remote? Like this one, it has a remote. It's only for the Transit. Smart key for the smart keys, immobilizer. And you just select it and you just go through the process, choose the right ear, it'll connect, and then you just follow the instructions. So this is the secondary tool. It definitely works, and it also works as like an internet too. So we tend to use this one when we're doing manual programs, and we'll explain that in another video, or the video that you probably saw before this one. Okay, so that is the AutoPro Pad by Xtool. This is just a little dock. You could take this thing off, and you bring this with you. Same thing, you have to make sure that you plug this thing back in after you use it. If not, it will drain and you won't be able to use it for quite some time, and that could be very costly. So that is the AutoPro Pad.